Mangwana ni malelepo vukenjani dumelava nave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show that remains your portal into Africa's most potent stories. Speaking of which, we will be joined by Mr. Arrie Hougaard later in the show as he delivers the South Africa report from Cape Town. But prior to that, these are some of the stories we'll be looking at. Tinubu's second-term campaign tests APC record in Nigeria. Diesel prices rise across 8 low-cost African markets. And Patrick Vieira appointed Senegal men's national team coach. We'll also be bringing you comments from President Duma Boko of Botswana from the sidelines of the SADC summit as he spoke to Sophie Mokoena of the SABC. My name is Ashwin Berry. This is Africa Good Morning on DSTV 285, GOTV 25, oneup2.com, Network Media Hub, and NTVAFRIKA.MY.NA. Top stories shortly.
Namibia is a land of movement, with waves that never stop reaching forward. Here, adventure is not something we searched for. It is something we are born into. In every corner of this country, creativity rises. From artists, from athletes, from dreamers. And when the world comes to explore Namibia, they discover something extraordinary. Because when sport moves people, creativity moves ideas, and tourism moves the world toward us. Something powerful happens. A platform where movement meets imagination, where industries connect, where opportunity grows, where Namibia's next chapter begins. Welcome to the Creative Sport Tourism Expo. Exhibit, partner, experience. Creative sport tourism.
All right, let's get into our top stories. Campaigning for Nigeria's January elections has begun with President Bola Tinubu seeking a second term while facing questions over the All Progressives Congress's nearly 12 years in power. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi are challenging him amid frustration over economic hardship and insecurity. Cheta Nwanze of SBM Intelligence said nearly 80% of Nigerians believe the country is heading in the wrong direction, with 45% identifying economic hardship and insecurity as their main concern. Tinubu removed a decades-old fuel subsidy and twice devalued the naira, reforms sought by investors and international lenders, but blamed for worsening living costs. Tinubu says the measures restored stability, credibility, revenues, and investor interest. GDP per capita has fallen from 2,586 in 2015 to $1,224, while debt rose from 12.6 trillion naira at the end of 2015 to 159.35 trillion naira by March 2026. Amnesty International says at least 10,217 people have been killed by armed groups since Tinubu took office. Critics also point to banditry, separatist unrest, and kidnappings, while the government says military operations have reduced attacks and improved safety. Security remains another major issue. Now, diesel prices rose, and this is across 10 African countries listed among the continent's lowest priced markets in August, with the average increasing from $1.52 per litre last month to $1.56 currently. Libya, Algeria, Egypt, Tunisia, Gabon, Niger, Ethiopia, and Madagascar all recorded higher diesel prices, while Angola and Sudan remained unchanged. Diesel remains used across Africa's productive sectors, including trucks moving commodities across borders, farms powering machinery, and businesses operating generators. Lower diesel costs can reduce operating expenses, support lower food prices, improve industrial competitiveness, and give enterprises more room to develop and expand. Fuel costs have become a significant as global diesel markets tighten following the conflict in Iran, potential closures of the Strait of Hormuz, and disruptions to refining operations in Russia and Saudi Arabia. U.S. diesel futures jumped 7.4% on August 10, while European diesel refining margins rose nearly 10%. The Dangote refinery in Nigeria is supplying more neighboring markets, strengthening Nigeria's position in regional petroleum trade. Industry analysts say the assessment underlines the strategic importance of domestic refining for Africa's biggest oil producer across the continent. Now, in this next video, Botswana's President Duma Boko sits with Sophie Mokoena of SABC. She did post this on her X page. And they were speaking on the sidelines of the most recently held SADC summit. And they happened to touch on the subject of exploitation of migrant workers.
Now, a lot of the jobs that these foreigners come and do are jobs that are either not wanted by the locals, or the employers use the fact of the presence of these migrant laborers to pay very low wages. So they are exploited and in turn cause the citizen employee to face a graver level of exploitation. But that situation would still apply where there is unemployment. Unemployment, even if it weren't of migrants, where there's massive unemployment, there's a huge army of unemployed. Those who are in their jobs can be fired, and you fire them through this door, and another one enters through the other door and is willing to take less in terms of pay. So the employer then is able to exploit, and you have a revolving door. You come in, you work. If now your salary is too high, they kick you out, bring somebody who will do this job because it doesn't require any skill anyway. So the issue of unemployment creates or contributes to the crisis of migration and exploitation as we see it. So it's important for these initiatives that we're engaging as the sub-region, as SADC, will ensure that there is economic activity in Zimbabwe, there's economic activity in Malawi, there's economic activity in Angola, in Mozambique, in Botswana, in South Africa. And jobs are then created, and the people will get employed, and they will earn decent salaries. And so all these complaints, which are about livelihoods, will then be addressed. But it's something that we...
All right, now we end our top stories with some African football. Former France and Arsenal captain Patrick Vieira has been appointed head coach of Senegal's men's national team, replacing Pape Thiaw following the country's last 32 exit at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Born in Dakar, the 50-year-old moved to France aged 8 and later earned more than 100 caps for Le Bleu, winning the 1998 World Cup and Euro 2000. The federation said his appointment reflects its desire to strengthen its technical staff and aligns with the nation's ambitions. Details of Vieira's contract and starting date are being discussed. His first matches are expected next month in the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. Vieira left Genoa by mutual consent last November with the club bottom of Serie A. He managed New York City, Nice, Crystal Palace and RC Strasbourg. As a player, he won 3 Premier League titles and 4 FA Cups with Arsenal and silverware with AC Milan, Inter Milan and Manchester City. Senegal have appealed to the Court of Arbitration for Sport over Morocco being declared winners of the 2025 Afcon final. That's just in a separate update, but we're looking forward to seeing Patrick Vieira take on that position. Those have been our top stories on Africa. Good morning. After the break, we will be joined by the man from and within South Africa, Arrie Hougaard. In a world where politicians promise the moon and deliver potholes, where democracy sometimes arrives in camouflage and ballots often look like formalities, one show dares to laugh with Africa, at Africa, and sometimes for Africa. This is Second Take, your weekly dose of political satire with an African soul and a global edge. From coups disguised as press briefings to ministers moonwalking past accountability, we serve the real news with sharper writing. Each week we bring you the TikTok of the week, because sometimes the revolution is vertical, and the heartwarming moment of the week to remind us that not everything is burning. We also sit down with the bold, the brilliant, and the brave, voices that question power, stir thought, and spark laughter. Because when the headlines are wild, the leaders are louder, and the truth is lost in translation, we all need a second take.
News in South Africa is firstly related to the Southern African Development Community meetings, that is SADC. That was held in eThekwini, that is in the east coast of KwaZulu-Natal, close to Durban. And it was also present at the meetings was President Cyril Ramaphosa, the President of South Africa. President Ramaphosa also emphasized the importance of the history of solidarity between all the members of SADC. And it is on the back of all the tension related to the anti-immigration protest that was recently in South Africa and also closer to Durban, where the meeting was held. SADC was founded in 1992 already, and the headquarters is in Botswana, and 17 countries, including Namibia, of course, also Angola, Botswana. It's also Malawi and Mozambique, Tanzania, also Zambia and Zimbabwe, to mention most of them or some of them. And so President Ramaphosa also in his speech, he emphasized on some priorities in the meeting with the SADC members. It's related to strengthening energy and water, and that is also the digital security. All of that is important for the region, but also cross-border infrastructure. That was a big focus, and the big component there is railway and road and ports. And the region grew about 3.4% in 2025, but it's the SADC countries it's only 1/5 of the region total trade. Talking about infrastructure, there's a few corridors. The North-South corridor is a big one that serves 7 countries. About 60% of the regional trade goes through the corridors, and it goes from the Durban port. It's a corridor, the railway that goes all the way to Zimbabwe and through Zambia and to Kolwezi, that is in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Also, there's the Maputo corridor, and that goes from Gauteng all the way to Maputo. That is in Mozambique. So it's very important for the infrastructure. So it was a good meeting, apparently, and it's good to see all the SADC countries coming together, and it's also planning in the same direction. More current news is related to exports of citrus, and that is more specifically to India and China. It is India that agreed to adjust unnecessary plant health regulations. It's been a challenge for a long time and influencing the export of citrus, South African citrus, to that area. And so South Africa, there's quite a lot of export of citrus that do go to India, but not enough. It can be a lot more. It's up to 300,000 cartons at the moment. It's up 85%. But it's growing all more, and South Africa export 2.3 million cartons. So there's lots of export, but there's a big market opening up between India and also China. And it is value of the exports to India is almost $54.7 billion US. So it's a big component of the South African economy. To conclude, current news also related to electricity prices in South Africa, that is very high. And South Africa looked to overhaul the electricity pricing system, and the system or electricity rose about 6 times of the inflation rate recently, and since 2007 the electricity increased by 907% in South Africa. So it's a challenge for consumers, the man in the street, and also for businesses, and it's unlikely for the economy to grow with the electricity price so high, and also of course high unemployment in South Africa of more than 33%. So at the moment, 3 million South Africans lack access to electricity, and that adds up to about 9.4% of households in South Africa. So hopefully that price increases will be stabilized. So that is current news. Sport news in South Africa is a big focus is rugby this coming weekend, and it's the first test between the Springboks and the All Blacks. That is men's rugby, and that first test will be played at Ellis Park this coming Saturday. The kickoff is at 5:10, that is Namibian time. So there will be 4 tests that will be played. That is in rugby's greatest rivalry, they call that. And it is a rivalry that goes back a long time. It goes back for 105 years, since 1921, that the two teams have been playing test rugby, with New Zealand winning most of the games. 63 tests they've won, and South Africa 43. So the first test this coming Saturday, then the second test will be in Cape Town, and that will be on the 29th of August. And then the third test will be in Johannesburg again on the 5th of September, followed by a test match in Baltimore in the USA, and that will be on the 12th of September. So South Africa will rely heavily on great experienced players like Cheslin Colby and Damian Willemse to do well in the test on Saturday, and up front players like Peter Steff, Toy and Malcolm Marx. So that test is Saturday, 5:10, the Springboks that play the All Blacks. Then more sport news is related to hockey. It's the FIH. It is the Hockey World Cup that's been played in the Netherlands and also in Belgium. South African men's team, they play on Thursday again. They play against Australia. So a tough game for them. In Pool C, they've lost their first 2 games, and that was against Spain 3-1 and against Ireland 4-1. And it's also the South African women's team that on Thursday play against China. Also a tough start for them. They lost their first game against England by 4-0, and then also to India 6-1. So that is the Hockey World Cup taking place in the Netherlands and Belgium. That's sports news.
Namibia is a land of movement, with waves that never stop reaching forward. Here, adventure is not something we search for. It is something we are born into. In every corner of this country, creativity rises, from artists, from athletes, from dreamers. And when the world comes to explore Namibia, they discover something extraordinary. Because when sport moves people, creativity moves ideas, and tourism moves the world toward us. Something powerful happens. A platform where movement meets imagination, where industries connect, where opportunity grows, where Namibia's next chapter begins. Welcome to the Creative Sport Tourism Expo. Exhibit, partner, experience. Creative Sport Tourism.
In entertainment news in South Africa, we go to the Boland, and that is close to Stellenbosch. We go to the Simonsig wine estate, and it's very popular. It's been making great wine since 1968, and it's known for Kaapse Vonkel. It's like a champagne wine and also Cap Classique, and it's known for that, but also great red wine and great white wine. So it is Simonsig that is just a few kilometers from Stellenbosch, and you can go and sit on the stoep or the veranda. You can have a great breakfast and something to eat as well. Do wine tasting, of course, as well. Wine tasting is very popular because there's award-winning wines, white wine and red wines. So there's award-winning Chenin Blancs and also award-winning red wines. So it is a Simonsig that's known for not only for the white wine, also for the pinotage, but they've got a brilliant blend as well, red blend. It's called Two's Company, and it's a Cabernet Sauvignon and also a Shiraz blend, so it's very popular. So visit Simonsig, and it is called Simonsig because of the views of the Simonsberg Mountain. So Simonsberg Mountain is not far from Simonsig Wine Estate. When you're in the region, it's also very popular for tourists to travel, obviously, there for the wine region, but also there's great accommodation in the area. So right up against the slopes of the Simonsberg, you'll find Slaley Country House. So it's very popular. It's on the foothills of the mountains, and there's 7 decorated rooms. Great names like Pinotage and Merlot and Shiraz rooms, and some of them French country feel inspired. So there's also a tennis court and a swimming pool and great breakfast to have. a great also base to travel all across the Boland. So that is the Slaley Country House. But also, if you want to go and play some golf, Stellenbosch Golf Club is just around the corner. It is an award-winning golf course, 18 holes, and the South African Open was there recently, and that will also be in 2027. The South African Open Golf Tournament will also be hosted at the Stellenbosch Golf Club. So lots to do. So if you're at the Slaley Country House as well, you can go for hikes up the mountain as well and visit the great vineyards in the area. So that is entertainment news in South Africa.
Do you like traveling?
Do you like to experience new places?
Well, then you should tune into On the Rock, where we explore enjoy establishments all over Namibia and South Africa. Great food, great fun, and so much more. So be sure to mark your calendar as we explore the beautiful landscapes of Namibia at the various enjoy establishments.
And where we also get to go on game drives, different activities, and meet the awesome staff of the different establishments.
We will see you there. Watch On the Rocks every Monday at 9 p.m. on DSTV channel 285 and GOTV channel 2.
Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning throughout the broadcast, and many thanks to Arrie Hougaard for delivering such a comprehensive South Africa report. Just to jog your memories, these are some of the stories we looked at the beginning of the broadcast. Bola Tinubu's second-term campaign tests APC's record in Nigeria, with APC having been in power for 12 years and facing opposition from former Vice President Atiku Abubakar as well as Peter Obi. Diesel prices rise across 8 low-cost African markets. And Patrick Vieira, former France and Arsenal captain, appointed Senegal men's national team coach. Interesting fact, he was actually born in Dakar and only moved at the age of 8. Those have been our stories on Africa Good Morning. We're going to leave you now with the economic indicators on DSTV 285, GOTV 25, oneup2.com, Network Media Hub, and NTVAFRIKA.MY.NA. Until tomorrow, Swera Zwakanaka.